Welcome. Today we're looking at lesson 15.2, modeling exponential growth and decay. Exponential growth and decay are just variations of exponential functions, which we've been focusing on for the last couple weeks. So as you can see here, we have two formulas. We have the exponential growth formula, where our base, the b value, is 1 plus r. R in this case is the percent or rate of increase, or in this case, the rate of decrease when we are subtracting. Our A value is still going to be our initial amount, like we saw in 15.1, and it's being raised to T instead of X, just because oftentimes in the real world problems, our input is going to be time. So we use T to represent that instead of X. So let's look at question 1. All of these problems will follow the same structure, so as long as you understand how to identify these pieces, you should be good to solve all of the rest of these. So question 1 says, a painting is sold for $1,800 and its value increases by 11% each year after it's sold. Find the value of the painting in 30 years. And then there's a space for us to identify that answer. So the first thing we need to do is we need to write the function. So we need to decide, is this going to be an exponential growth or an exponential decay? And because we see the language, its value increases, we know that this is going to be growth. And we can see the rate that it's increasing by. It's increasing by 11% each year. So that will be our value of R. So we have our 1 plus R will be 11% as a decimal. We still need to identify our A value, which is just going to be our initial amount. So in this case, that'll be how much it is sold for at the beginning of this process. So this 1,800 right here, that will be our value for A. So we can put all this information together. We have Y equals 1,800 for A times 1 plus 11%, that would be 0.11. So we'll end up with 1.11 to the power of t. Now we need to identify our domain and range. Now the nice thing is the domain of an exponential function is always going to be all real numbers. There's no restrictions for what our domain could be. However, this is a word problem, so we do need to be mindful that there are some things that are just not practical when we're talking about the real world. In this case, it wouldn't make sense for us to have a negative amount of time, unless we can build a time machine to travel back in time, which none of us have successfully done. We can't really have any negative values for the time. So in this case, our domain restriction is going to be that t is greater than or equal to 0. Now you'll notice this domain notation is a little different from how we've practiced it before. This is set up in the same way that your homework asks you to identify domain and range. It'll have the variable used for the input for domain and output for range. They'll be in these squiggly brackets, and there will be this vertical bar. To the right of it is where you'll write out the domain or range as an inequality. So our domain is going to be all positive numbers and 0 for the time. The range, our output, is going to have some restrictions. Even when we're looking at just generic exponential functions, our range will still have limits because we always have some sort of horizontal asymptote. Now, in this situation here, again, because we're limited by the domain, we can't have any negative values. So our y-intercept would probably be the lowest y value that we have. Well, if we substitute in 0 for t, we'll end up getting, we can write it out over here, y equals 1,800 times 1.11 to the power of 0. That'll be y equals 1,800 times 1. Since almost anything to the 0 power is 1, we'll end up just getting y equals 1,800. So we're actually going to go ahead and interpret this y-intercept. So the y-intercept of 0, 1,800 tells us that at that initial amount, the painting was sold for $1,800. So we can say the painting was worth $1,800 initially, or when it was sold. Now, because this is an exponential growth, we know our graph is going to increase as we go off to the right. So we're making a sketch. This does not have to be perfectly precise. So we'll want to identify our axes. So we'll have t down here for time. Our y value will be represented vertically. And our y-intercept, you could place it somewhere down here on the graph. Now we do want to make sure to label this point. We know we can assume this is an input of 0. So the output is going to be 1,800. So this way, when we're looking at the graph at this point, we can identify this coordinate point right here is at 0, 1,800. And our graph is just going to sort of curve up and to the right. We don't have enough information to know how steep it's going to look. We don't really care about that. We just want to identify that it is sloping up. So if I'm looking at this graph, I can see my x values can be anything from 0 all the way increasing forever. My y values, the lowest that they can get is this 1,800. All of the other points on this curve are bigger than 1,800. They have a y value greater than that. So the range is going to have a minimum of 1,800, and then it can be any number bigger than 1,800. So we'll represent this as 1,800 is less than or equal to our output y. Now, if this graph were to continue, we could identify the end behavior, which we've practiced for a while. We need to identify the end behavior in both the left and right directions. So we can have as x approaches negative infinity as we move to the left. Again, this is assuming that this is the full graph with no real world restrictions. We can assume that this curve would slope down and then level off when it reaches the x-axis, when it reaches the y value of 0. So as we are curving off to the left, our y values will approach 0. And on this curve, as we move to the right, as our x values increase towards positive infinity, our y values, we can look, will also increase. They're getting higher and higher and higher up. So y will approach infinity or positive infinity. The last thing we need to identify is the horizontal asymptote, which, as a reminder, is an equation of a line. So we need to make sure we have our variable. We can't just say a number. So we'd have to say y equals, and then whatever the value is. So exponential functions, whether they are growth or decay functions, will always default to having a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. The only way we can change what the horizontal asymptote is with a shift up or with the shift down, which we don't have any vertical shifts happening in this equation. So our horizontal asymptote defaults to the value y equals 0. So that would mean there would be a horizontal asymptote right here along the horizontal axis. Now there's one last piece for us to identify for this problem. We were asked to figure out the value of the painting in 30 years. So we can go ahead and take our function, substitute in 30 for t to represent the number of years, and then see what we get out. This is where you definitely want to use a calculator to help you. If you don't have your own calculator, you can use one of mine, or you can always look up calculators online. So I'm just going to put this here as a little separation. We'll have y equals 1,800 times 1.11 to the power of 30. So we need to make sure to deal with the exponent first. So we'll have y equals 1,800 and 1.11 raised to the power of 30. That will work out to be 22.8. I am rounding it off just because otherwise it would, go on for a while. And we can go ahead and again use a calculator for this. We'll get y equals 41206 0.13. Since we are working with money, we do want to make sure to round off to 2 decimal places because we don't have any more digits when we're talking about cents. So we can say in 30 years, this painting will be worth, I'm going to make sure to put the unit, just money, dollars. So this will be worth $41,206.13. So for the remaining 5 problems on this worksheet, you'll need to identify if it is an exponential growth or an exponential decay. The 2 situations will be very similar to each other. It will just determine if your graph is increasing up or if your graph is going to be decreasing down. The domain and range and horizontal asymptote should be pretty consistent throughout the different examples. The end behavior will absolutely change if you have an exponential decay function instead of an exponential growth function. I hope this video is helpful, whether to help you work through the notes or to guide you through some of the examples to help you with the homework.